Everyone's well here on Zoom, and those who may be listening on Facebook. And I know it's being live streamed right now on YouTube as well. So if you're here live on YouTube, welcome to you too. So today here, mindful thoughts, on Zoom, and those who may be listening on. Oh, I've got a bit of feedback. Okay. Yeah, so today we are going to be talking about listening to our inner selves with my guest, Maxine Blake.
Hello.
So welcome to you, Maxine. Now, when I think about kind of listening to your inner selves, I'm kind of thinking about intuition, and it may or may not be that, because I know that I've listened to my intuition when sometimes I get these voices coming into, not voices, but a voice coming into my head saying, no, you need to go there. And it's like, no, you need to go there. And I kind of think, okay. And then when I don't, something kind of happens. Not, it doesn't always turn out right. But when I actually listen, I was kind of think, oh, it's almost like I'm saying, why do I need to go there? And this voice is kind of saying, you just need to go there. You'll find out when you get there. And when I followed it, there's always been something that I kind of either been thinking about or something that I've needed, and I've gone to wherever I've been told to go by my intuition. And it's always turned out to be something positive, either somebody that I've not seen for a long time or something that I'd wanted and I've been looking for, and then I found it. So I've started to follow it a lot more. So I'm really interested to kind of like hear a little bit more about your thinking around, listening to our inner selves, whether it's related to intuition. Yeah. But before we start, Maxine, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from locally, just a little bit of background, and then we'll go into
our topic. Yeah. So hello, everyone, and hello to everyone who's joined us. I'm so happy for the invitation. It's marvellous. And can I just say, Kirk Franklin is one of my favourite artists. So that just started it off. You could tell I was rocking away, forgetting I'm live and just going, oh my goodness. So yes, so I'm from Wolverhampton initially, and I moved to Sheffield in, I think it was 1980, to pursue a teaching degree, and I've been one of those people that have stayed ever since. So I have had my teaching career for 37 years in secondary schools, and then on to post-16 education, sixth form. And then I took the decision early, I think February, January last year, to pursue other things and then retire early, because I just felt I've done everything I wanted to do with education, and I wanted some time for me to pursue other ideas. And then, of course, a few weeks later, the whole pandemic thing came, and what I wanted to do was travel and work and volunteer. The only traveling I actually did was in my mind, really, because we were all locked in. So that then made me think, I had all these plans. They now have to stop. What am I going to do? What are my thoughts? And I'm locked in here. So how am I going to manage my new self? And that's where a lot of this started to come up, because I remember when I was younger, so I'm the middle child of 5. And so
so am I.
Oh, nice. You can sometimes get stuck in the middle, can't you, and get shouted down sometimes or not listened to. And I was always quite nomadic, so I'd go off wandering, because in the house, a lot of people, there's always noise, and I needed space in my head to think. So I was always that one that wandered off somewhere, because I just couldn't think for myself. And if I made a suggestion, which I felt was sometimes right, I would be persuaded by other people. And so in later years, I thought to myself, quite often actually, what I felt in my guts and my ideas felt that I was right, but then other people persuaded me that I needed to do something else. And maybe I should take some time and then start to listen to myself and trust that I can make the right decisions for myself. So that's what this is kind of all about.
Okay, so when did that kind of like sense for you? How old were you when that kind of thinking came up for you, as to kind of like starting to listen more to what was going on internally for you?
It started, in fact, it's kind of started when I remember when I was maybe 14-ish. So you have to think, if you're from a particular kind of Caribbean background, sometimes there's not that discussion that goes on. So it's usually very much you do as you're told. And I remember my parents thought when I was younger, oh right, you know, you're going to be a nurse. And I went, yeah, I will. And then one day, and I hate hospitals. I can't do that stuff. But I said, yes, okay, that's fine. And then we had a talk, and I remember walking down the corridor and hearing two teachers talking. No, she'll make a great the religious studies teacher. No, she'll make a great PE teacher. And I walked past and I thought, oh, they're talking about me. Oh, they think I can do this. So I ran home literally and said to my parents, that's what I'm going to do. And of course, my dad's going, well, no, you're going to do this. And I went, this is what I want to do. This is what I feel is in my future to do. And it was a bit of a stand-up discussion, shall we say. But yeah, I got my own way. And I thought, no, I am right. I feel this is my vocation. But it takes time. That was a one-off. And I realised everything had to be was a bit of a battle, and it shouldn't be. So I had to tone down how I then, the ideas came out. But it was still, I'm listening to other people because I'm, you know, I wasn't quite sure. And it's taken time, and it does take time to hone that kind of craft or feeling or thought. And then during the pandemic, when I had to be online with students, I remember hearing anxiety in the students' voices, and I'm trying to teach. And I thought, you can't teach because they can't hear, because they're too anxious, because the situations they found themselves in, that they were locked in the room, they daren't come out because they have other siblings or the family's underlying conditions, the pandemic was new. They were frightened to death, and they really were. And although when you're in the classroom as a teacher, you can hear them and see them, suddenly when there's a blank screen, all you can hear is the voice, and all you can hear are those anxieties. In my head, I thought, I can't teach. I have to do something else to put them at ease. And that was my gut thinking, they're just trying to survive now. The educational syllabus has got to go out the window. I've got to give them something else just to hold on to so they are okay. And then I also manage staff, and I heard their anxieties too, and I just thought, oh my goodness. And again, you could see it, and I thought, and I could feel my anxiety rising too, and I thought, I need to get hold of myself, and how am I going to manage myself, manage them, and help them to manage the students. And so I had to flip things around rather than saying, these are things that we are going to do. It's, how are you today? Let's just do something totally different, and we can talk privately later. So I had to just park things and not put all this stuff that I had organised or the college had organised for us to do, because if their headspace wasn't there, they can't do anything, and I can't manage them to manage everybody else. So that's kind of where a lot of that came from. But it took a lot of courage for me to go, no, I have to shelve all of that. I have to do something else because they're not coping. We're not coping. And it was just a high level of stress. And then I had to think, I'm supporting them, who's supporting me? And then my head was just talking all the time. So I had to find the mechanisms to try and deal with all of those and listen to. I know my body because I've done sport for years. I know how I survive, how I work, and the kind of things I can do to feel better about myself. And maybe I need to be trying to give these to other people too. So that's kind of the background to a lot of that.
How it all started. So when you felt in yourself that you knew that the students weren't going to be able to be available to listen, to learn, how was that received firstly by these pupils who kind of thought, actually, you know what, my teacher, I don't think they called you by Maxine or whether it was Miss.
Yeah, it's Maxine.
Did they kind of say, you know, Miss, why are we doing this? Aren't we supposed to be learning? And also, how did the staff respond that you were supporting?
There's that kind of audible sigh when you say, do you know what? Let's forget what I've got planned today. Let's just talk about, tell me what's around you. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what makes you happy, what kind of things you can do. I know you feel you. I had one student who literally for 6 weeks didn't leave his house. and I could feel the high level of anxiety. I could hear it in his voice, and I just thought, I can't do anything with this. I need to save this person, for them to feel okay about themselves. And so we just did little baby steps. It was little things that they could do. They liked being physical, they liked being active. They were not willing to get out of their room almost, but I said, right, so what's around you? What can we do? And I'm thinking all the time, what's in his room? How can he work? How can he work out? How can he make sure nutrition is okay and his family is safe? Just those little things. And I said, okay, right, so we're going to schedule some meetings every single day. Now, I usually see them back 2 or 3 times a week, and I just thought some of them needed that little bit of contact every day. So I was scheduling all those, and then with staff too, who also had high levels of anxiety or were dealing with other things too. And, we all had our personal issues too, whether it's elderly parents or parents that were in homes or other children. They needed that one-to-one too. So I had to just say, we're abandoning all this. I'm going to try something. I tried something fun, something a bit different. That crashed like bag of spanners, really. I thought, that's fine. I'll try something else. And we just kept trying little things. And also I said to them, right, you tell me what you're doing to make yourself feel a lot better. And they've come out with this, well, we have a lockdown charts. We have these little bits of tournaments that we're going to be doing. We have these bits of sayings. We're meeting each other and just talking.
Yeah.
And quite often when you're at work, you talk, but the conversations aren't about how you are, how you feel. It's all about the students. And so we were having to find time to look at ourselves and think about ourselves, where we are. And you can't do anything effectively if you're not in that place to be able to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where I found myself thinking, right, I'm sorting other people out. I need to sort myself out too. So I had to then give myself a schedule early in the morning just to get out. And I'm very lucky. Where I am, I can get out, go around, run around the park or walk, or just find myself. I give myself a challenge. I find myself the highest points to get to, and I will just look over the city and just go, this place is amazing. I'd be out there early in the morning, get my head together, come back, and then I'm in a place where I can just then deal with them. And I found that regular routine that I managed for myself worked really, really well. It got better, and I was able to manage all the other things that I then had to do.
Yeah.
But it was tough going. And I think it is for a lot of people, wherever we were in life, it was just tough going. And I need to find out what makes them tick, what makes them okay, or as okay as they can be in that situation.
Yeah. Because it was, like you said, it was a very difficult time for everybody in lots of different ways. Emotionally, psychologically, physically, not being able to get out. And it was a very new place for everybody to kind of look at, so what's going on and what are we going to do when this kind of finishes. But for you now, looking back, what were the things that stood out for you most in terms of your own learning or your own kind of like inner self-talk, inner self-thinking? And
I mean, I know that I'm in my happiest place when I do a few things. Either when I'm singing, and you could probably see that from the beginning when that track came. So I'm absolutely my happy place when I'm singing with my choir, whether we're rehearsing or whether we're on the stage. And the fact that we were able to start meeting physically, and I could hear harmonies, and I just thought, my heart right now, that is my happy place. Or if I'm outside in nature, I'm usually up a hill, up a mountain, if I can do that, or if I'm running, doing some exercise. Those are my happy places. So I just thought, these are the things that I can do for myself to be able to make sure I can stay safe whilst I'm staying safe too. So those are my go-to things. So if I've got earphones in, I don't know how people walk around with earphones and not sing out loud. I can't help it. People are looking at me and I go, oh, you can hear me. So I have to go, I have to sing now because it's some gospel track. And for me, there's just nothing like a good gospel track, because that just gets me in my heart and in my soul. And then hearing the harmonies together again, I just go, oh, there's nothing better. When I'm in my lowest place, I know singing and walking, and that combination those just do it for me. But it's about being able to find that, and some people can't find that. And also it's being able to be okay to talk. And even though I said I didn't grow up in a family that talked that much about their inner feelings, because it's hard to do, because it's exposing, isn't it? Very. And quite often you grown up in an atmosphere sometimes when if you're talking about something, maybe you're showing the weaker side, but I've learned you're showing strength because you're exposing yourself, and it's not an easy job. I mean, I've got some people on here who just go, we know you too well, and they do. And I'm still learning, and I still find that hard to do. But I know there are people I can phone up and just go, just talk to me, or they know you that well, you don't have to say anything. And then you're okay. But it takes time. It's not an easy thing to do. And then we had a situation last year when we had a close friend of ours who committed suicide, and that was totally out of the blue. So I got this list of people. I thought, they're on their own, I'll ring them up, I'll text them every now and then. And he wasn't on that list because I thought he was okay. So that's a bit I said about talking and just phoning somebody up and just saying, how are you doing? But it's not just that, it's also expecting an answer that might take a few hours to talk through. So it's not just thinking, are you all right?
But and just leave it there.
There's something else that you need to be able to respond to that. And it's putting yourself in a place where you can respond. Sometimes you don't need to respond. You just need to be the other person on the phone, or to meet up and walk and talk about random things. But that talking is quite cathartic, isn't it? It can get things out.
Get things off your chest.
You never know what you can do for that one person in that situation. You don't know where they're at.
Absolutely. And a couple of things following on from what you're saying is, do you ever get that thought or that feeling sometimes when out of the blue someone pops into your head and you just kind of think, oh, okay, you don't know why, just suddenly, it's somebody that you've not thought about for a while or not seen for a while, and they come into your head, and then it's like not just once, but it happens a few times. And when I get that, I kind of think, right, I need to get in contact with that person. I was going back to kind of thinking about what's going on inside. And the other thing I was going to say as well was that I too grew up as one of five, middle child, in a family that didn't talk about feelings or anything like that. So for you talked about, going and probably reading a book or going out and things. My escape was dressmaking. So I used to sew quite a lot, and that was a thing for me. I could get up in the morning, have my breakfast, and that would be it. I wouldn't eat for the rest of the day because I'd just be so consumed by kind of like trying to get, making all these different things and designing and things like that. So I get that.
I had a wall I used to sit on, so they knew if they could find me when I was little, I'd be 15 minutes away sitting on this wall and just thinking, just so I could have a clear space. And I realized it's one of my default things. I will just get out the house and go. My husband's happy to sit all day and work, but I just think I have to be outside, get some fresh air, and just think and just be for a little bit before I go back and then deal with the other stuff. And I know that even since, I don't like the word retirement, I need to think of another word for it.
No, I'm with you on that. I don't do retirement. I'll change my hours, reduce them, or do something that I like doing, but
change my day. But I'm as busy, I think, as I've ever been, but in a different way. And those are the things that I choose to do. And that then, that makes me happy, because my son thinks I live on stress. It's probably right. But then now I just go, I can slow it down. But that's hard too, because you're so busy jumping to other people's tune that it takes time then to slow down and listen to your own. and think, well, what is it that makes me tick? What makes me happy? What can I do? And although I said I'd stopped the paid work to travel and do some volunteering, you know, it didn't affect me that much, but because I thought, okay, I need to switch things around, so I have to be flexible. So now I am volunteering, and that makes me happy too, because I was never able to do it because I was just too exhausted from work. So at least now I think I can give some time back to other people, you know, who are more needy than me. And that's good. The fact that I feel I can be flexible and I can do lots of other things and be just as busy as, in fact, I just think, how did I find time to work? Because I feel like I'm just doing so. And a lot of people have said that to me, you know, when you finish work, you just go, how did I do that? And it just is, yeah.
So for you, having time to think and space to think is really, and to, I guess with the thinking comes also the reflection as well. So that's about, like you're saying, just having some quiet space at some point on a regular basis throughout the day, or at least at some point in the day, just to have that stillness and listening to that voice, or listening to, and in those instances I've heard of people who kind of had those bright ideas either for work or for their business or for something they want to do. So
so
it's really important.
And I've learned to either take a pen and paper out with me, or I just use a recorder on my phone if I have an idea. You know, it all sounds like, oh, what's she doing? Because it's all so breathless, because I'm running and going, oh, I've got an idea. Let me just put a recording on, and then I'll bring it back and just type it up. And that's, because you're giving yourself some space and some time, and then things will come to you. But when your head's crowded, it's very difficult to be creative or to find some space for yourself. You know, and I remember when I was leaving, I just said, I've got one life, I'm still healthy, and whilst I am still feeling I can do things, I want to be able to do things for myself, stuff that makes me happy. I might yet, you know, take time to discover what that is, but I want to give myself time to be able to do that. And I do realise I'm very privileged and I'm very lucky to be able to have this, and other people aren't, which is why a bit of the volunteering and giving back comes in. You know, so I do realise that.
And that's always good as well, like you said, volunteering, because by giving back in whatever shape or form the volunteering takes, there's always something that comes back to you that's priceless, really, because you don't have to pay for it, but the mere act of volunteering, you get back from that, and you get back that positivity as well. So for people who are listening and watching, what would you say is a technique that people could use if they kind of, because I'm a bit of a busybody, I can't, not doing too much, but doing lots of things that I actually quite enjoy. But I know what I do to kind of slow myself down. So I do meditation, I do yoga and everything else. But for those who are not into yoga or meditation, or just being able to sit and just be, what first steps could you say, probably from your experience or things that you've learned, could be a way to start listening to our inner selves?
It is about finding space. You might not always be able to have a quiet space or get out and walk, but it's just finding a little bit of time, whether it's a corner of a room or something, just to maybe start your day or to end your day. I'm more of a nighttime person, so a lot of things goes on at nighttime. So my husband's now up really early in the morning and I'm up late at night, and we do things differently, which is good, because, you know, those opposites attract, and it keeps us sane when most people haven't, you know, are in unusual relationships when they've seen their partners more than they've ever done before. And to find out you still like them is a great thing. So the fact then we're out walking, he's out walking very early in the morning, I'm probably out walking midday or late at night, just to slow things down and just to find a space and sit and just reflect and think, well, how am I feeling? What am I doing today? And it's okay not to do anything. And I found that hard. To think today it's okay not to do something, because you're so busy on this treadmill having to listen to other people and have a timeline, and it's still difficult for people to do, but you do need to carve out a bit of time for yourself. you know, whether it's to catch up with other people, and to catch up with yourself, to see where you're at and how you are feeling. Because quite often we deny ourselves to look after other people. But if we're not healthy, we can't look after anybody else.
I'm kind of nodding and kind of a deep sigh of say, yes, Angela, through gritted teeth. I'm like, yes, that's what you need. My voice is telling me that's what you need to learn how to do, because I'm learning, but I'm one of those who kind of like, I've got to get this done, got to get that done. It's like, I'm thinking, people are telling me they're watching all these things on Netflix, and I'm like, where do you find the time? Because I'm not finding the time, but it's about me.
Yeah, because I guess still am. It's not an easy thing to do. My son goes, Mum, just stop. You haven't got to do this. I go, yes, I haven't. I go, oh, actually, I haven't. I'll stop. And then I'm up again and I'm doing something, or my head's just giving that.
The chatter.
The chatter. And that's the thing that I feel that I need to slow down and just learn to calm those things down. That I haven't got to finish things
everything
today. Yeah, I haven't got to do, but that's a learned thing.
Yeah, very much so, very much. Because as I'm talking and listening to you at the same time, I'm thinking in my head, I have to get it done because I don't want to let people down. But then that's about me prioritizing and making sure that I don't over commit in doing things. But there's so many things I can be like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and there's suddenly it's like, I've got too much to do. It's like I've got people relying on me to do this, that. So I'm having to rein in.
It is that as well, isn't it? Other people. And it's, what will they think of me if I can't do this on time? But then you have to think, actually, I need to give myself time, you know, and then I'll do a better job. And just apologize. And that takes some doing too, to say, I'm really sorry, but I just need to take a little bit of time out. I will get to it, but I just need to take a little bit more time. Again, I'm saying all these things out loud, and I know one of those things that I just feel I need to be able to do that for myself too. And it's all learning. We are all learning all the time, aren't we?
Yes, all the time, every day. And if we're not learning, then the universe is still moving and still going. So we've also got to keep moving and learning and making ourselves a better version of ourselves all the time. I'd be interested to kind of hear what other people here on Zoom that are with us might think about some of the things that Maxine's been talking about. Happy for you to either put your hand up or put your questions in the chat in the meantime.
That'd be good to hear.
Yeah.
What are their tricks and how they learn?
Can you share something? We have Mon. Would you like to unmute, Mon, and pose a question or just some thoughts?
Hi there. Grand day to you both and everybody else that's on the platform today. Fascinating topic as usual. Just wanted to ask the speaker, do you find that more women of color are coming forward to openly speak about their issues? Because I'm also from a Caribbean background, and I've shared exactly what you've said and Angela's said. My family didn't speak. I came, unfortunately, from, and I say unfortunately because of the negative effects it's had on me. I came from a single parent family, and I was the eldest sibling. And I can honestly put hand on heart and say from the age of 2, I've been an adult, if that makes any sense. And I've lost out tremendously because I was never allowed to be a child. And I'm now 58 years young, and I am seeking to reconnect with my child. And what's been helping me is my tree hugging. I'm a naturist and I love to be outdoors. And I found that that's really helping me to reconnect with that which I've lost that I can't get back, if that makes any sense. I just wonder if you have more women of color coming forward and sharing and speaking out and lightening their burden, because we carry a heavy, heavy load.
Yes, we do.
Thank you very much.
We do. I mean, if I go back to the not talking as a family unit, I think a lot of it's about, because as a unit, our parents were just trying to survive. They were trying to put bread on the table, you know, food, electricity, that they had all of that they needed to do in a foreign country that didn't react to them very well or very, very negatively. And they were shielding us from all those. And until you grow up, or maybe you have a parent's funeral, you actually don't know what they were shielding you from. You know, so I'm grateful for all of those. But then being in the community choir that I'm in at the moment, a lot of them are Black women or women of colour and men in the same age bracket. And when we get together and talk about how our upbringing used to be, it's quite cathartic, and it's just nice to know that you're not on your own when it comes to that kind of relationship with, you know, other siblings or with parents and so on. So it's good to know that we can talk without being judged or anything. So we do have lots and lots of conversations, you know, during rehearsals and so on. And so that's good for us all to get together. So yes, I do have more people now talking about it because they just feel the need to, not necessarily unburden, but sometimes it's not unburdening, it's just having a shared experience that we all have, and we just go, oh, I thought that was just me, that was just my family. But it isn't, because we just don't talk about those things.
Yeah.
And when somebody else breaks the ice and they do, you think, oh, it's not just me then.
Yeah.
And that makes you feel so much better, and think, our parents had it so hard. They had it so hard, and they sheltered us from so much that we really don't know half of the story. And so we're a product of that environment. And so hopefully, you know, we'll talk with our children differently. I know that I've tried to work differently in my family, but that's still quite a hard thing to do. And it's that learning again, but it's still about trying to talk. Just this week, I had some friends come around, and it's one of those questions to say, how are you? Are you fine? Not laden with anything. And when the answer comes out that you don't expect, it's that, oh, and you sit back and you think, okay, we now need to talk. So sometimes you can hear it in their voices, and they didn't know it was there, but it's just like, okay, I'm here. 2 hours later, we were still talking about stuff, and he left and went, thank you so much. And I didn't think there was anything to thank me for, but I just realised there was something there, and he needs to talk about his personal situation. And he left having maybe made some decisions about how he's going to go forward, but it's just being open and not just saying, how are you, when that's just a flippant thing. You know, it's all that, isn't it? But yeah, I do get lots more people talking about things that are deep down, that they don't realise are deep down and really affecting their whole lives. You know, and that's hard, because it's hard stuff. None of it's easy. No.
Thank you.
No problem.
And you're right. And I guess it takes a certain kind of person to kind of ask the question, knowing that whatever the recipient kind of comes back with, you're stable and steady enough to kind of like say, okay, so come on then, let's sit down. But there are other people that kind of think, oh, whoa, okay, it's like, I asked if you were fine. Usually the response is, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Which has a different connotation when you think about the letters. It means like, fine, you know, I won't go into that. But
often they aren't, though, are they?
No.
Often they aren't. But then...
And fine is not a feeling either.
No. It's just an answer you give because you don't want to talk about it today. Or I don't want to talk about it to you. Or I'm not in that place where I want to face it. Because sometimes then when it comes out, you realise the burden that you've been carrying. You know, so,
So I'm just going to mention that Michelle had said in the chat, yes, Mon, we can identify with losing our childhood. Because Mon was saying that she was almost kind of become a parent at very young, you know, under the age of 5. And Michelle goes on to say, talking is the best therapy I have found when you talk to a Black woman about emotion and they respond openly. Totally would agree with that. It's a difficult one, because I know because of COVID, you know, everyone is now talking about mental health. The radio stations that I listen to, the call-ins, and that the phones are just packed with people just pouring out
Yeah.
their experiences of being isolated, being lonely, or not being able to see family. And I just think, you know, for me, this is the next pandemic is about mental health, because some people's inner thinking and inner thoughts aren't always as positive as, you know, as they would like them to be.
Well, they're not, are they? And
Yeah.
especially when you get, and we know it's black men in particular.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my friend that took his own life was a white male, age 50.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just don't know. And it's quite often the chattier people that are the people on the surface look to be okay, that you need to think, I need to have a word, or just check up on them. You know, sometimes we've had a few suicides in this area, and oh my goodness, it's too late once that happens. But it's just trying to get the prevention. But we know we're under resourced, and it's how do we then manage? How do we manage that? And I know in Sheffield, one of the things that started up was a black men's walking group.
Just that's because, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's been amazing. It's gone into being a play that's toured around, you know, nationally, which is great. And it's all about, because black men definitely don't talk, but they can walk. You know, I remember my dad when I was younger, he was the nomad. He'd be out and he'd be off, and maybe he wouldn't come back for a day or so, but he was walking, and that was his thing. And so, you know, it would be great if you'd be, you know, talking to one of these guys about the reasons behind it and the success they've had, and the men that they've got in their group that are now talking that wouldn't have talked before, because again, it wasn't their place to talk about their situations or their feelings, because it's not seen to be a manly thing to do, whatever that means.
Yeah. So, it's really sad, and I just think, you know, those are, most of them are mature men, but I'm just thinking about the younger men that are coming through now.
Yeah.
My hope is that, you know, because mental health is very much out there now, and more people, celebrities, you know, famous people in their field are all now starting to talk about it. And I think about the female tennis player, Osaka, who was just pulled out, just pulled out of the tennis tournament because of her own mental health, but then not being taken seriously. Or,
oh my goodness, the criticism she has now had, which has not helped her mental health situation. Why has she got to defend how she feels? And you know, she goes into the game because she plays well, but I know the contract says this, but the attacks that some of them can give you, when you're faced with all those, how do you deal with that in front of the whole public?
Yeah.
You know, but hopefully it will resonate with a lot more people, and we can act on it more. But we are under resourced, and we need to start looking at that much more at lots of different levels to just to acknowledge that fact.
Yeah. So for you, throughout your journey of 37 years in education?
That's a big,
I was kind of like looking to you to kind of just reconfirm it was 37 years. I was like, wow.
It's a long time, isn't it?
It's a long time. So, so what's been in your career then? What's been your highlight in your teaching career?
Well, you know, I had a former student came round to the house the other day, and when he realised I'd retired, he went, "Wow, that's a loss." And I thought, oh, that really touched me, and I thought that was so nice. Well, what are they going to do without you? And I just thought, oh, I want to cry right now. But sometimes when you're teaching, you don't see the benefits, not till years later, when they come back and they talk to you about, you were my first role model. And I think, was I?
Wow.
I've had that, and I've just gone, oh, I didn't mean to be, but because of the colour of my skin and my ethnicity, you are out there, and people will look up to you and just go, well, there's nobody else that looks like you, that looks like me. So I'm watching you and seeing how you behave, and suddenly you are in that limelight. So if you're a black person in teaching, or whatever area it is that there aren't many of us in, people look at you, and you know, and you are there, so you become that model. So when we had a fellow person living in Sheffield again, and this was another suicide, and I'd gone to the wake, and I saw some of my former students, and I'm talking literally from 30 odd years ago, and they'd go, oh my goodness, I remember when you were teaching and you were the only black person there, and I remember you did this for me, and when you did this and you helped me, you stopped me from being thrown out of school, and I'd go, did I? And that's just part of your job, and you don't realise the little things that you do can affect somebody's whole life. When you think you're just trying to manage yourself. And so the fact that I've had quite a few people, ex-students, that come and said, because you did this for me, I'm now in this position, I'm now in this job, fills me with joy. At times it's been really stressful, I have to say, and it's been a fight and struggle. But the fact that they're saying this now made me go, oh gosh, that is so worthwhile. Sometimes you get the little light bulbs that turn on in the day and they just go, I get it. But because it's a whole lifestyle change for them, then I knew that at the age of 13, and I said, yeah, I want to teach, not realising how that would resonate years later, then it makes me think it was all worthwhile. Because if they're still talking about it from 20 odd years before, and they still recognise me, and they still want to come up and talk to me, then I know you're not going to win everybody, but some people you're going to help make better people. And the fact that they've said that to me, I've just gone, oh wow, and that's what I'll keep with me. That's what I'll keep with me.
And those are the ones that you've seen, or you've made contact, or they've made contact with you. And it's forgetting that over 37 years, how many thousands of people you may well have been in contact with. Maybe I'm over exaggerating or not, I don't know, but you'd have been in touch with a lot of young people. And probably influence their lives and their thinking and
that's planting the seeds, though, isn't it? That's planting the seeds. And so if you then get somebody in my position who then can then manage or whatever, they'll just go, oh well, she can do it, I can do that too. I'm going to change my mind about how I want to do things. And that it's working from the ground up. And that's why we need more people in those positions for them to go, well, I can do it too. Because when I was growing up, there weren't that many. And so you're having to look around and think, well, where are my role models? You know.
I know there definitely weren't role models around when I was at school. I don't think I can recollect any at all in all of my schooling.
Yeah, I remember a couple. And again, they stick out of my head, you know, because you look and you go, oh, there's somebody who teaches maths and he's black and it's great. And then they thought, oh, you don't know my parents. There's always that goes back.
I better behave myself, because I know it's going to get home. And that was before mobile phones. Your parents always found out what had gone on at school.
Before you got through the door.
So anybody who's got a mobile phone, listen, information's still got out. You got the telling off and you kind of think, how did they know that?
How did I know?
Yes, well, there were people on the ground that would share information.
There were always people on the ground. Misinformation quite often, but there were always people on the
ground. What would you say then, at the opposite end of the spectrum, has been your lowest point in your career? Or even in your listening and kind of hearing something or trusting something that you kind of think, that's a goer, but then it turned out to be not as you expected.
Well, but those are learning points, aren't they?
I see them as learning points. Other people may see them as, oh my gosh, it's like, why did I not think of that?
Yeah, well, I suppose if they're very public, then yes, you can get some public humiliations, but then again, they're learning points to think, I must remember those things. But sometimes because I also taught sport and I taught mostly boys. And then there's the idea that if it's sport, it's just practical, it's not theory, and you get other educators who think the same thing. And so I felt like, why am I having to defend my subjects to other teachers? Because they just see that I'm just kicking the ball about and it's not the academic, the injuries of sports psychology, the anatomy, it's all of those things. And also throughout schooling, students who then choose a subject will think that's what it's about too. So I just feel that a lot of it, people need to be re-educated in what those things are all about. And if I could influence how PE was taught or sport was taught, I certainly wouldn't have them being taught sports subjects. I'd have them taught fundamentals and get them outside, because it doesn't cost you anything to get some trainers on and just to be walking. Because if you look at the number of people that carry on with organised sport, it's not that many compared to go through school. And I'm looking at lifestyle change, not just for the 0 to 16 or 0 to 19. And the majority of people are, if you look at the conditions in the country now, the levels of obesity are ridiculous. So the health, and nutrition, all of that is holistic. That needs to come back into education, and we squeezed it and squeezed it and squeezed it. Yeah. So I'd like to look more holistically at things rather than compartmentalize all of those.
Would you ever consider going back in just to try and change things a little bit, or to influence even?
I hopefully will be doing something from September, maybe in a little way to influence possible new teachers. So that will be nice, because that's where it needs to happen.
Absolutely. So in the teaching side, kind of new teachers. Great.
Yeah. We'll see.
Could we clone more of you and kind of put you around the country? Because I just think the education system is just...
Some people might say no, but it's hard work. And
it is hard work.
My hat's gone to teachers this year, because I thought last year was hard, but this year it's just... Yeah. They've just done an amazing job. They really have.
I don't know if anyone else has got any other comments, if you want to put them in the chat. But in the meantime, I just wanted to read out one from another message from Mon saying, "Sis, I've had several therapists over the years. As I divorced, my mom severe child abuse. Took decades to fully understand self. In a better place, forgiven but distanced and fully focused on maintaining mental/physical health. Yoruba cosmology, sorry, my apologies, trees, plants, and ancestral connect are my mantras, I say." Yeah, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Mon. Like you say, you can come back from your childhood and what you've experienced as if it's not been a healthy environment to have been in, to move past that and find the things, like you said, that bring you joy, bring you happiness, and bring you purpose as well.
It's about finding those things,
yes,
isn't it?
Yeah.
We have to be able to find those, or for ourselves, whatever they are. Yeah. Otherwise, we are lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody's listening, if you're not sure what you feel passionate about, or don't have anything outside of work or business for you to kind of focus on, to kind of take you away from the regular work, or for some people who may not be working, think about it. I'd always suggest, I don't know if Maxine, you may want to kind of give some advice or anything that you know of. My thinking is always to think about what is it that you have done in the past or would like to do that when you're doing it, you just lose sense of time. You're so involved in it that you just kind of forget about time. And I know for me, that was me being on my sewing machine. I could have sewn all day, not eaten. My mother used to call me a camel because I wouldn't, eat or drink, because I was just so wanted to kind of get, something completed.
Yeah, it is about that, being able to be lost in yourself.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
And for me, it's definitely about the singing and the walking.
Yeah. But even after 37 years of teaching and walking and being and part of the singing choir, you've also done something else, haven't you? Yeah. Would you like to share?
Well, when I decided, okay, teaching's finished, I'm going to do the... My husband and I thought, right, we skied too. So we were going to work in a chalet abroad, and we know what happened there, don't we?
Black people ski?
I'm joking. No.
But they do.
When we first started off, there weren't any.
Yeah.
And then it took 5-10 years. And then I saw generations. I saw kids and I saw grandparents. And I went, oh, wow. I felt like my job was done. I need to move on to somewhere else. So, yeah, we ski and we ski well. We do like the cold and we do like the snow. Not all of us. But yes.
Cool.
So my son
like
said,
that.
Yeah, what are you going to do now then? I went, he says, so you know that book you've been writing? I went, like, what book? He said, your thoughts you've been putting down, maybe you should start publishing it now. You can finish it and publish it now. And so I just thought, I'll put myself out there again. And again, it's that thing. You put yourself out there, you're putting yourself out there for praise and for criticism. Yeah. So then I had to build another skin and just go, well, I've taken criticism whilst teaching, because we all do. Now I'm going to have my words, people are going to say, didn't like it, or I love it. But that's what I did. And it was about my relationships with my students, but it was a funny side. And I just felt I needed to reflect on that, although teachers are having a really, really hard time. This is the stuff that students have said to me that I've just gone, oh my goodness, or that's so funny, that's not possible. And I used to come home with stories. And it would be, guess what happened to me today? My husband and son would just go, oh, not again. Then my son would go, write it down. I think, well, why? It happens to everybody. And you just go, no, it doesn't happen to me. I just didn't happen in my school. And I think, doesn't it? So I start writing things down and telling them. And of course, they're my captive audience. So, you know, they need to find this stuff funny. So, and then I wrote a few more things down. And when I was leaving, I then said to the staff, right, I'm going to finish this book. And I knew once it came out of my mouth, I had to do it. Otherwise, it would never have been done. So I then focused on writing a book about my 37 years of teaching, the anecdotal funny bits, because I just felt we needed a little bit of humour. And also, I'm really quite happy to humiliate myself in public, because I've just done some stuff and I've been teaching that the students
I love that.
Easily done, honestly. So yeah, so that was published in December, and I was quite pleased. I actually managed to get it done. But people have said, wow, that's amazing. And to me, it was just, well, I can't do the stuff I wanted to do, and this is on my list, and it might never have got done. So let me just get out there and just write it. And so yeah, I am pleased with it.
Good.
Although I feel like I'm underselling it, but yes.
You are underselling it. So I'd like you to, yes. So the book is called, I'll let you give the title.
Yeah. It's called Don't Poo in a Pudding Bowl.
And people will be thinking, what?
Yes. It's literal. It's literal. So Anne just got her copy. So thank you for that.
And I have to say, Maxine, this, if anyone is feeling a bit down, you must get a copy of this book, because I'm telling you, I've had fits of laughter. I've just kind of like thought, what? Is that for real? But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
If I give a
really brilliant.
Background, because most of the institutions I've worked in have been quite deprived. In fact, the very first one, I say to people, I got danger money because of the level of deprivation in the school. So you had extra teachers in there. So the stuff that happened in that school, it wouldn't happen today just because.
No, I know.
And the things you had, my old lecturer said to me, if you get a job there, it will put you off teaching for life. Well, 37 years, I'm still here. So resilience, definitely. Yeah. So I had to literally roll my sleeves up and do all kinds of stuff just to get on and make sure that I survived and that they were too. But sometimes there's a special group of kids who are now 50 years old and will come back up to me and say, wow, do you remember when? I look at them and go, oh my goodness, it's you. And do you remember what you did? I remember one day, one of them, I said to him, I'm writing this book. And he just goes, am I in it? And I went, yeah. I said, so is it okay? I'm going to change your name. And he went, no, don't change my name. Just spell it right. And I went, oh, okay. And then he'd lean and just go, so was I a naughty kid at school? And I'd just say, because I haven't changed the name. You were interesting. As well. I can't wait. We had when they just, get back to me, just go, am I in the book? Am I in the book? Come on, tell me which chapter am I in? So it was that kind of thing, So some little risque stuff, because if you taught sport and you outdoors residentials, if anybody's had children and send their kids away in residential, and you hear some of the stories.
That was enlightening for me.
I was the person that had to sleep outside in the corridors. so that the girls wouldn't try and go into the boys' rooms and things wouldn't happen. So I just never slept. So it was those kind of interesting things, you know. And I love the residentials because they taught the students so many things, so many life things that they just to see their faces over 3 or 5 days when they just thought, oh my goodness, it's the most amazing thing ever. It was ridiculously hard, I have to say, because some of the students hadn't even seen sheep before. And I know you think it's not possible, but they were astounded at sheep. And or one student was 16, never tied her laces. Her father still did them, and she asked me to do them. Well, look at this face. Does this face tell you that I tie kids' laces? No, it doesn't. So it was those kind of challenges that I had to get through. And so it was an interesting interesting time. And I still laugh when I read bits of it myself. You know.
I wonder if a teacher kind of 20 years from now, what they would be writing about their students in a similar format to what you've done. Yeah. How different that may well be, because I don't even think they would have time to do a lot of the things that, or even find the space to even have fun with things that have gone wrong. Because it feels so highly charged with energy and kind of stress and just taking the fun out of teaching, which is what I know a lot of people go into the profession to do.
Well, and I remember when I first started, I could go off at a tangent a little bit if somebody would talk about nutrition, because that's also my thing, and talk about food and what good foods they have and when they're cooking and when they're shopping. I go shopping, cooking in the kitchen. I go, what you don't cook? Tell me what you have on your plate on your Sunday dinner, and let's talk about what nutrition you should have. Those kind of basic things we used to be able to do, but because the curriculum is so heavy, there's no time to look at the wider subjects and the health and the body and what goes in your body. And so it was good to be able to do all of that and talk about food, and then boast about their different foods that they have from all different countries, because I had students that were really quite international. So they were teaching me as I was teaching them. And that's what it's all about too, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Just being able to kind of hear.
Yeah, I did have one student who said, well, Maxine, I went, he says, do you remember when I asked you to marry me? Now, these are students, they're 16 to 19. And I stood there going, what? He said, yeah, you shot me down. I'm thinking, you too right, I did. But I'm 19, I'm thinking, let's get off this subject right now. No. His friends going, I remember when you asked him, I thought I must have just blanked that one out, because there's no memory of that whatsoever. But those are the kind of things. So whether he's trying a bit of digression to get me off the subject that was finding difficult, I don't know. But and they can be quite funny and just make me laugh sometimes when I can get a bit too serious. So they know how to put me in my place once they knew me.
Yeah. Just wanted to say in the chat that Andrea said, such a wonderful lady. I resonate with a lot of what you're saying. So that's nice feedback from Andrea. So in terms of kind of like inner thinking and think about, you know, our inner selves, what's our thoughts or coming up for you now, maybe in this year, next 5 years?
Gosh,
where are you at now?
Not necessarily inner thinking, but I've actually joined a foster panel. Oh. I've never thought that I would do. So I'm on a panel where we look at potential foster parents and match them up with the foster kids in an emergency situation or, you know, these situations. And that, again, when I worked on the education side, I've seen it from the other end. But this is something totally new to me. So if it wasn't for the pandemic, I'd have been off doing something in some other country. I wouldn't have had this opportunity. So where doors are closed, I've had quite a few doors open. So that's been good. So I've been doing lots of little bit of educational work as well as writing on books too. And then I've got some work that I'm doing at the moment. I'm talking about it, but I can't talk about it. So sorry. No,
that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. So you're still doing things, which is great.
I'm doing so much stuff that my son's going, what are you doing today? I'm lost on what you're doing. I'll just go, I need to keep a better diary. So yeah. So I'm still doing lots of other things, and people are approaching me and asking me to do lots more things. So that's nice to be wanted still.
I'm glad you've not retired and put your slippers on and just sat.
That's I made a determined effort, and that was never going to happen. I'm not that sit down person. And even I've got a very close friend on here. When we're on a holiday, she'd be relaxed, and I just go, no, I need to do some exercise. I can't relax yet. I feel like I need to reward myself, and I shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But again, it takes time.
Yeah.
To be able to just slow myself down. But that's where I find my happiness, just being busy and then doing things for other people, with other people.
Yeah.
You know, and I do have a very close group, a group of friends and family that I can pick up the phone and talk to them if I need to. And I don't have to explain myself. And that's where I know I'm okay. And they can talk to me and ask me how I am, and know that it could be a loaded question or it might not be, and they're prepared to listen. So I'm so grateful, you know, for those things. And I know it's hard because I know I've been the toughest person to crack in terms of emotions and so on. And I'm still working on it.
Good. Me too. So you're not on your own.
But that's what we need to have. It's like confession. We do. It's good for the soul.
It's good for the soul, absolutely. Yeah. And freeing ourselves of the burdens that we kind of push down all the time, and just find somebody to speak to. But before we finish, what last minute advice would you give to people who are listening and watching from your life experience?
Well, I'm just hoping they've got a little bit out of it, because sometimes you just need to take one little thing, whether it's a little challenge that you're setting yourself, just to go beyond the pale a little, I didn't think I could do this, but you can. Failing, it's okay to fail. And I always said that to students, because you learn from your failures. Yeah. If you don't learn from your failures, you're not learning. So you take what you did and you move on from there. And if you're doing it over and over again, it's practice, isn't it? But you move on from that. So it's about learning and just putting yourself out there, which is exposing.
It is. It's scary. I hate it.
It's really hard. When I first started to do this, and my son said, right, you've got to publish, you've got to go and promote it. And I went, what? I've got to talk about myself. And so, and I went, I don't do that. It's like, no, Mom, it's your worst nightmare. And now look at me. Yeah. I'm saying to people, do you want me on your podcast? Do you want me on this? And now I'm selling myself, and I just didn't think I could do it. So at my delicate age, I am still learning so many new things. I'm grateful I can still do that, and I still want to do that, because I just think with this one life we have to take those opportunities where we can. Yeah.
And say yes more often, isn't it?
Yes. It hasn't got to be a big thing. There can be small things, but they are as equally as gratifying to do those things. Yeah. So it's just being grateful and just going out there and, doing things for other people without expecting them to come back to you, because it's cyclical, it's cyclical. It will come around, and someone will do something for you one day that you don't expect. And I've had that so many times that I am just so grateful. So
great. Maxine, thank you so much for joining us on Mindful Thoughts today on Ultravision. I've really appreciated the conversation and the feedback from some of the listeners here on this platform. But it's been really lovely kind of hearing background to your work and to your book and all the things that you're doing, and really hope that everyone's got something out of today's show. So
just a little thing.
Yes.
But it's just, I didn't think it would be so good to talk, and I've realized, what, to people I don't know, it's actually okay. I can say stuff and it's fine, and I walk away feeling a lot lighter and a lot better. I was thinking, I haven't done anything like this about a month or so how's it going to be? Am I going to be able to say things? Well, I don't think I've stopped, and it's just nice to be able to get things out, because I know that I'm not the only person in this situation. Yeah. And I know that I've learned, and there's somebody I can go to if I need to chat about something. Or you don't even need to talk. It just needs to land up, sit right, land on the doorstep. There's always, if you have that one person that will do that for you, that's fine. You don't need a whole group of people. Because sometimes people on the periphery and are not your tribe, and I just think you need to find your tribe. And those are the people that know you. They absolutely know you, what you're about, and can feed you if you need to. You don't need to explain anything. That's the kind of thing that you need to have. And just be.
Yeah, great advice. So on that note, we are going to have to say goodbye, unfortunately. So Maxine,
thanks to everyone.
Thank you very much for being my guest today. And thanks to everyone here who's on this platform. And thank you to those on YouTube, Instagram, have I forgotten one? Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you all again. Maybe, I'm guessing now, forgive me, will be probably the beginning of next month, because we're doing some other shows as well. So, but you'll be informed. We'll keep you up to date with the next Mindful Thoughts session. So we're getting lots of thank yous in the chat to you. I know you can see them there.
Yes.
So just want to say, everybody, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again. Keep a lookout for Ultravision, because we're having lots of programs that are coming on board now. So keep a lookout and keep supporting us and keep spreading the word. So that note, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you all soon. Enjoy your day. Please pray for some more sunshine, because we had a good week. Let's have another good week. So on that note,
a black woman on the hill, it's probably me.